Alright, now I have my paper mobile of the spinal cords set up. It is a hanging mobile, and I want to begin with the anterior corticospinal tract, which originates in the motor cortex and goes all the way down the brain and the spinal cord, for which it decussates at its target of exit. Now, for the lateral corticospinal tract, it's actually pretty different. And for this tract, it will descend again from the motor cortex, but it decussates in the pyramids of the medulla, and will exit or will descend all the way down to the spinal cord before it exits in the ventral horn. Now, moving on, so that was in red, and this is involved with somatic control over the body. Now, moving on with the rubrospinal tract, which is in orange here, this originates in the red nucleus of the midbrain and will decussate in the midbrain before descending to the spinal cord. And your rubrospinal tract is involved in precise movements of the distal part of the limbs and muscle tone. Moving on to the reticulospinal tract here in yellow, this tract originates in the reticular formation in the brain stem, and I've kind of loosely indicated that to be in this tegumentum of the midbrain. So this is a loose network of upper motor neurons that descends down the spinal cord into this anterior portion, and it does not decussate. And your reticular formation is involved with subconscious regulation of your reflexes. Moving on to the vestibulospinal tract is not shown here, but it originates from cranial nerve 8, and is involved with posture and balance and movements of your head. It will originate from that cranial nerve and then move down the spinal cord without decussating. Now moving on to the tectospinal tract here in pink, this tract originates in the superior and inferior colliculi and receives visual and vestibular information, and will decussate in the midbrain before moving down the spinal cord to this portion that I've shown here in this medial anterior region. Hi, and welcome back to the hanging mobile of the spinal cord. I'm going to start off with this spinothalamic tract, and these are all ascending tracts of the spinal cord. So this one, it enters through the dorsal horn of the spinal cord, for which it decussates at the point of entry and then ascends all the way to the cortex, the primary somatosensory cortex. This tract is involved in crude touch and pressure and pain and temperature. Secondly, I want to talk about the anterior spinocerebellar tract, which is involved in unconscious proprioception of the body, and this decussates at the point of entry before rising up to the midbrain and entering through the cerebellar peduncles, where it decussates again in the cerebellum. Now, the posterior spinocerebellar tract is different because it will again enter at this point, or it will arise from this point in this lateral spinal cord before moving up to the cerebellar peduncle, going to the cerebellum, but it does not decussate at all. Next, I want to talk about the posterior column pathway, or the fasciculus cuneus and gracilis. The cuneus is involved in pressure, touch from your superior portion of the body, and then the gracilis is involved in the same function from the inferior portion of the body. So your cuneus is from the superior, and then your gracilis is from the inferior, and this tract arises from this posterior portion of the spinal cord, where it goes to the medulla and decussates there, before going on further to become the medial lemniscus here, as indicated in the midbrain.